98.7 WMMS.
I always wish I could be one of those comics who tells jokes like about the president, but I don't know anything. People guilt trip me all the time. Did you see what Bush said today? Did you see his speech? No. How could you miss that? I guess I got more channels than you do, because he wasn't on Nickelodeon. All right, I don't care. All right, I'm watching SpongeBob and I'm happy. All right, I don't care. People make things too complicated. Everybody does. I'm sick of people who read. Because you're just being difficult, you know? Like, you ever go to a movie, you like the movie because it's a movie, somebody's always got to ruin it. Yeah, the book's so much better than the movie. Shut up, nerd. All right, it's not better. There's a reason why they invented movies, because books suck, all right? Nobody likes to read. It's not 1852, we don't have to read anymore. But there's so much more to the story in the book. Well, I trust Tom Hanks to tell me all I need to know, all right? I don't care. Shut up.
I don't think I realized how far back I went for that.
Yeah.
George Bush.
Yeah, Bush was president. And,
The first Bush.
That's what I get for throwing a dart.
And we watched channels. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
That's streaming.
that was a thing.
It aged well, didn't it?
Well.
Yeah. John Caparulo is back. He came from around the corner.
Yeah.
How about the new digs, man?
That's
How
all
about
right.
this,
Yeah,
right?
it's
It's okay.
nice. Yeah, I did.
You don't have to sit in the car with Scott for 25 minutes.
I don't have to hold my gas for 20 minutes.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
You know,
Also,
because I want to impress Scott. You know.
you know what I just realized as he's walking in? We've had 3 guests on since we've been in the new studios. Ryan Dalton, Steve Byrne, John Caparulo.
Kent guys.
All Kent
Kent
State
guys.
alums.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all we get.
Cool.
Kent guys.
Part of Kent State Month here on the show.
Yeah, all
Nothing wrong with it.
Right. But you've
Good
been in
job, Kent State. You're
Yeah.
turning out a lot of comedians.
not physicists,
Yeah.
not you
None
know.
of us majored in that.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
But,
What did you study at Kent State?
radio, TV production.
Oh, you did?
actually. Yeah.
And was there a time where you were like, I mean, were you on the air at all? Were you?
You know what? No. I had to do the classes where we had to, like we were literally. I remember, like I found them in a box recently. And some stuff my dad sent me, like I remember class projects that we had to put on a cart.
Yes.
Remember carts?
Plastic carts
And,
with a tape
like,
inside. Yeah.
I never used a computer at all. Like, I remember doing a project where we had to do like a thing, like cut from one song to the next. So I brought the Thriller album on vinyl and the Rocky III soundtrack, and I was
Do a crossfade.
PYT. Now here comes Eye of the Tiger. So it's crazy how like if I had wanted to, I don't know. I picked the major off a list.
Yeah.
Because it looked like, oh, maybe I can do something creative there.
Yeah, sure.
And
It wasn't that you had aspirations of like being a DJ or something. You were just like,
it was basically my mom was like, you got to go to college. And I'm like, okay, fine. And, it took me till about probably late in my 4th year because I was on the 5-year plan. And I realized I was like, wow, everybody else in my classes, they really seem to care about these classes.
Right.
And I don't. I'm just hoping to say
So you
something
went that
funny.
far
So-
into the whole thing, into like
did.
that
I
major or
graduated.
whatever.
I even had a minor in
Yeah.
writing. Yeah. And none of it does me any good. I get the bill still.
Right.
But they still want paid for it.
Yeah,
for some
but I
reason.
mean, but writing jokes is not easy.
No,
there are
it isn't.
there are probably things that you picked up in college that apply to that.
I always say it really is. It was the overall life growth experience really
Sure.
that meant a lot. And I mean, I know that sounds like like still like a big waste of money, but it really was. It was like a type of thing where I grew up in a small town and I kind of needed to go find out just figure out who I was and things like that, which really helps when you start going on stage in front of strangers.
Well, and you meet. I mean, audiences are made up of all different kinds of people too.
Yeah.
I mean, you will eventually kind of get your audience, but I mean, when you're starting out, you don't know who's. So college for a lot of people is the first time they're around other kinds of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was so for me it was a necessary experience. It was a necessary period in my life that I don't think I could have gone right from, high school to, well, now I'm going to go be a comedian because I had no
has had nothing to say, I don't think, at that point. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Are mom and dad still around?
Yeah, they're still around.
And I assume they're pleased with how things turned out.
Yeah, they've always been. I mean, I've always been fortunate in that way. Like, I'm not like a lot of comics whose parents are, are like, get a real job, and they're like, oh, well, hey, you're doing something you like, fantastic, and they were really, I mean, they didn't have a lot of money, but they'd always try to help me whenever they could. Like when I moved to LA and everything, they were always there, and that was.
There's kind of I always thought it was strange when you're around creative people, and I always think of comics because that's how I started out, and it's kind of like you feel weird if you are somebody who had supportive parents.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is like, I'm doing this because I didn't get enough attention. Everybody's got their own reasons, but there's like this through line of a lot of people that were like, growing up, there was something missing.
Yeah.
So if you come in, you're like, oh yeah, my mom and dad they love this. They think it's great. You feel there's a weirdness to that when you're among other people who are kind of like, oh, that wasn't my life at all.
Yeah. Well, there's still a reason I moved far away from them.
Well,
too.
right, of course, yeah.
Love doesn't cut it.
It wasn't exactly always the easiest thing in the world.
Right.
But it's still,
but you can make the case that helped you move and not feel freaked out or weird. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
So yeah, it was. I had a good mix of support and annoyance that got me to where I got.
Did you come up through the doorman program at the Comedy Store? Was that how you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, who were your doormen and women contemporaries then?
I was a doorman at the same. Let's see. Ari Shafir was a doorman with me. Let's see here. Bobby Lee was a doorman before me. But let's see. I'm trying to think of anybody else.
But like those kinds of the guys that age,
class.
class of comics.
Yeah. Like I mean, like you mentioned Steve Byrne. I mean, I think he and I think we were probably at Kent State around the same time. And I remember we talked about it one time, and he said that he used to work the door at Ray's place in Kent.
Yeah.
And I probably, he probably checked my ID at some point, but we didn't know each other then. But it's I know he started. I think he went to New York first.
Yeah, he went to New York, and
Yeah.
I think you went to L.A. So
So we ran into each other at the Comedy Store, but he didn't like. He wasn't a doorman or anything like I was. He just came in as a
What
comic.
sent you out west instead of going east?
I'd rather be broke and warm.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
heard Ohio,
It
man.
really was.
More
It was that
winners.
simple. It was just
Right.
like New York felt like it just so like ominous to me to be like, man, that'd be really tough to be, just kind of living like the way I'm gonna have to, and when it's cold and all the tall buildings, I just felt like
You're already bummed out because you're broke. Now you're cold.
Yeah.
You're uncomfortable all the time.
Right.
And they're
and
like,
that's the thing. When you grow up in snow, that's kind of the one thing. You're just like, man, life would be so much better if not for this snow.
Yeah.
And and it, that's part of it. Is I wanted to go someplace warm. And my best
And
friend
now
from
it's
high
really
school
warm.
also. My best friend from high school also. He wanted to move out that way too. So I had my friend with me too, which was great to not just go by myself.
right. But it's also kind of, that's how much people hate snow, is California is more than, it's fires and it's mudslides.
Earthquakes.
And
Yeah.
all that stuff. And they go, I'd
And it's
still rather live.
expensive, yeah.
It's expensive.
But
But when
there's
you
no
moved out
snow.
there, all the fires and stuff like that, I think they were happening, but they weren't talked about as much as
No,
they are
it wasn't.
now.
weren't as frequent.
Yeah.
I remember I was in an acting class, like I want to say like 2000, 2001. And I remember the instructor, she was talking about how like around 94 when the Northridge earthquake happened, and this was a couple years after the riots and everything, like she said that like it thinned out. She was like, traffic wasn't that bad. And then about that time, like we going into 2000, 2001, that's when it started to get really congested again, because no earthquake, nothing really bad had happened in a while. So everybody was migrating that way again.
Get a false sense of security for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you're taking acting classes and you're doing stand-up. Were you, once you really got the vibe that, or when couple of things started happening for you, were you seeing John Caparulo types going for like pilot season and things like that? I mean, was there a point where you were like, I can do that better than these guys can do that? Was there a period in your career where it was a lot of sitcom auditions and things like that?
No, I kind of really went from I literally went from like cutting grass in the day and working the door at night to I got my first like TV development deal.
You did, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like it was, you know, and I did that 3 straight years actually. So I kind of got spoiled with that thing. I was just like, I'll just do this every
I'll
year.
just keep
Right.
getting to
Right.
the deals.
This is
We'll
easy.
never run out.
Yeah, everyone talks about how hard it is
Yeah.
to make it.
And I, you know, it was, you know, but then after those 3 straight years is weird. It's so weird because I always thought like after that I became more qualified to have my own show and because I, you know, I had more experience, I had more, you know, I thought I was better at what I did.
Yeah.
But you know, after that it was just like those things. I mean, I think they dried up in general for everybody, but you know, because of the way, you know, entertainment was moving away from that. But yeah, it's I did that for a while, and then it was just, you know, I hosted a show on CMT, and then Chelsea lately would help me sort
Right.
of get into, you know, when girls knew who I was, that really helped. So.
Right.
They're the
The guy
ones
from
planning
Chelsea
the
lately.
night out.
It
Yeah.
is. It really is. It really made a difference. So yeah.
And you're in Vegas now?
I live there.
Yeah.
I was telling her I use the airport. But
You're right.
I had a residency show there. That's why we moved there, and I had a residency show from 2018 till 2020.
So
Then what happened?
COVID shut that. Yeah, then what happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
they just decided not to
right,
re-up?
right.
Yeah.
Everything stopped. So
Right.
and so that killed that. So yeah, we're there, and I'm back on the road again from there.
Right. From, I see what you mean. You just use the airport.
Yeah.
But, well, how old's your kid now? 6 or 7?
She's 7.
7.
Yeah.
Was that second grade?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. She's homeschooled, so it's like
Oh,
it's
she
kind of
is?
kind of a gray area anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have I have 2 kids in college, and I have a first grader who just started.
Yeah.
No homeschooling. How's the homeschooling going?
Oh man, it's fantastic. Well, I mean, initially I didn't think like we could do it because I was like, man, if I'm responsible for her education, she didn't have a lot of substitutes.
Right.
And,
I'd be terrified to do something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what it is like they have all these like online programs and stuff like that where it's like, you know, they have the curriculum that you're supposed to have.
Right.
And for a while there, for the first because we started her in what was it, pre-K right before COVID, because it was, you know, we were very late getting her into school because
Yeah.
we weren't in a hurry to. You know, because I didn't know how I could encourage her to go to school. Like, oh, you're gonna love this, because you know,
When she's
it's
like 3,
I hated
yeah.
school, so I'm
Right.
like, you know, and I remember we tried to take her to pre-K. That was the first time we ever had to like drop her off somewhere, and you know, she's clinging to my leg
Watch
and
her
screaming.
walk into a building and
Right, and,
Yeah.
and she's crying, and I'm like, you know, and I got to be like, no, all right, well, I'll see you in a few hours.
No,
and,
honey, math will be fun.
I was crying too. I mean, these other adults who don't know me seeing me cry, and it wasn't. It was a disaster. But
So was the homeschooling a product of COVID then? You were just like, let's just keep doing this.
yeah,
'cause-
kind of. You know, she had a friend that she met in the pre-K. Her dad's an NHL player, so from that friend, she started doing this homeschooling program, and then my wife was like, "Hey, what do you want to try this?" And we started doing it. And first, it was just like I said, it was just basically over Zoom.
Yeah.
And then now, like the teacher comes to the house 3 days a week. So yeah,
That's not bad.
it's not bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, she. I mean, as far as education goes, she gets a lot more out of it. She
Right.
really does. I mean,
Yeah,
because
just
you
the
know,
one-on-one.
right?
Yeah.
You know, it's not so much just you know other nonsense going on that
Mm-hmm.
you know she has to worry about. It's just you know for the actual educational part of it, it's great. It's fantastic.
Are you still of? I know for a while you said that you were a Pats fan, Patriots fan,
I was,
and
I
that
was.
you had a man crush on Tom Brady. I remember that
did.
comment from you.
I did have
I
a pretty
wasn't-
substantial one. Yeah.
But you follow him, I assume.
well, yeah.
So are you a Bucks fan now?
Well, that's hard to be.
That was the true test.
You know,
is whether people liked the Pats or liked him.
Well, for me, it was like you know, for the longest time, it was just I rooted for whoever I used on Madden, and
Right.
and you know, now it's like you know, you pretty much just it's almost like fantasy style on there. So I don't know, like I like the reason why I got into the Patriots really was because when Randy Moss got picked up by them. That's when I was like, oh my God, that team's gonna beat everybody.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, I got so kind of, you know, into watching that team, and then I kind of got invested in them, and kind of like I did with the Bulls in the '90s in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I love watching.
Yeah, well, there was something special
Yeah,
about that
yeah,
where it was a
when-
dynasty type thing.
Right? Yeah,
and
it's just
yeah.
when you see just somebody who's just that great at what they do, I just think that's awesome. And I'm like, you know, I don't like being confined to like, oh well, they don't wear the right uniform, so I can't root or I can't
No,
root
of
for 'em, or
course.
I can't watch it. It's just like, yeah, I'm not, so that's
You want to find an enjoyment, like that's just pure enjoyment.
right.
It's an escape.
It's basically like watching. I like the NFL and I like pro football, and it's not like I don't personalize it and make it like about me. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
where it's like I just it's kind of like admiring a good band or something.
Well,
you're like you just
When you're in a city like Cleveland, there is almost a competitiveness of being a fan, where there are Browns fans that becomes part of who they are, and they're trying
Yeah.
to show that they know more and they're bigger fans than
absolutely.
And if that works for you, that's great, but it's just not how everybody wants to do
And
it.
Of course, and I grew up as a Browns fan.
Mm.
I grew up having that sort of like having to prove how loyal I am to the team, no matter how terrible they would be sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, no, I'm still behind them, and and I still am. I mean, I want to see the Browns do well, absolutely. I just
You just can't pin your hopes to that.
I'm not
Yeah.
all that invested where I'm just like, oh, that's the only team I watch on Sunday. Like
Well,
I did
now
when I was a
Vegas are
kid.
trying to make it a hockey town too.
Yeah,
So
well,
it's-
it is
yeah.
very much a hockey town.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the Raiders came there after these guys. The
Golden Knights, yeah.
But it's a big thing. They're like everybody. It's one of those towns. Everybody's like, oh, you got to go to a game. Really? I'm like,
Do I have to?
It still looks like slippery soccer to me. I don't think I can get
Right.
into it. But
Golden Knights are my favorite slippery soccer team. Yeah.
exactly. It's just,
John Caparulo is doing the Weekend at Hilarities. That is tonight. That's tomorrow. That's Saturday. No Sunday show for people looking for dinner in the round with John Caparulo. Ain't going to happen. You ever do those kinds of shows? You ever do like, what was the last one night gig you did?
one night gig.
Yeah. You do those at all? You do like corporate?
Yeah. Like I have a.
people are eating dinner and John
like I'm going to a
Caparulo's there?
theater in Green Bay next month that I've been to a few times where it's just a one night, one show,
Yep.
in and out sort of thing. Like and then you also have some really disastrous ones. I was talking to another comic about this the other day. Like it's weird how like as comedians like it's some of our like the shows that I get paid the most for are usually my worst shows.
That's
Yeah.
why.
Because it's
They're
'cause
like,
it's
hey,
such a
none of this
disaster.
is
It's so-
conducive.
It's so not fun.
It's
'cause
2 in the afternoon. You don't get a microphone.
Right.
You figure it out. We'll pay you $5,000.
I still tell me like I mean we're talking about football like it was back in it was 2015 I think like my agent called me so excited saying, oh hey, I got you a gig doing it's Ronnie Lott's it's his charity
It's the charity
walkout.
thing, yeah.
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 And and it's like it's gonna be great. It's like look, the guest list got Barry Sanders and Eric Dickerson and Jim McMahon and all these great. And I'm like, and I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, wow, I get to suck in front of my heroes. That's gonna be so fun. And it really it was me at a country club. It was after they did their like auction and stuff like that, like had signed jerseys and stuff. And long story short, I ended up crying in front of Marcus Allen. So, and it's one of those things. I mean, it was such a bad because I mean, there was some like donate like a guy who was a donor in the back, like who was just some trust fund dude from Ireland who just decided to just heckle me and nobody did anything about it. Like they acted like I was the problem because I was defending myself.
Right.
And it was really awful. And when it's like, I ended up, it was that bad. I was supposed to do 45 minutes. I think I did 15. And
Like as long as the check
and then
clears.
I got off stage and went to fight the guy. And and I ran up on there because I didn't even see him back there. I ran up on a guy, and I think it was James Hetfield actually that I ran up on. And he's like, "Hey, what's your problem?" And I'm like, and the guy like, he sprouts up from like over like 2 tables over, and I go over to him like, "Hey, what the hell?" And I realized I was like, he was just a drunk mess. And I'm like, I'm either gonna have to hit him or leave, and I'm not gonna hit him, so I gotta go. And I'm one of those guys that's like, when I get upset, it's like mucus attacks my face, and I start to bubble with tears, and I'm like trying to walk away. I'm trying to get on this shuttle bus to go back to the hotel, and they're like, "Wait, John, Marcus wants to talk to you." I'm like, "Oh no!" I turn around, just tears going down my face. Marcus Allen comes up to me. This is the worst thing. He's like, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you were really good." I'm like, shut up, Marcus. Like, really? It's like, I mean, and the thing is like, this is the type of show you'd expect, like, you know, oh, well, you were just a kid. You were 23. I was 40 when this happened. I mean, I'd been on TV and stuff. Like, you just would think after a while you're immune to that sort of thing. And I was not. Yeah, it was bad night.
Somebody goes, keep at it.
Yeah,
right? They
man.
give you the old keep
Well,
at
I
it.
remember, like, because I remember, like, Marcus Allen's like, you know, he's a, you know, I said, man, I really, you know, I think you're great, and I'd love to meet you under better circumstances. He's like, well, what's the problem? I'm like, that guy, you heard what was going on while I was on, and he's like, I remember, he's like, I mean, how do I clean this up? He's like, you know what? Next time you have a guy like that, just say, if I want to hear from an a-hole, I'll fart.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, and I realized when he said that, I'm in no position to go, look, Marcus, I'll write the joke. Because I just bombed, and I'm like, oh, no. I'm like,
bombed
thank
and
you.
crying.
All right. Yeah, I'll use that, sir. And,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So it was just, yeah, but it's one of those things, yeah, you just, so yeah, that was a one-nighter that, yeah, but it's those corporate gigs that, yeah, they'll pay you a lot more money, and it's like, man,
You just got to get through
I
them.
do so much better when I'm getting paid nothing, really.
Right.
I'm
There's
just
no
working
pressure.
out
Yeah,
somewhere. It's like, yeah,
Stakes
it's
are
just-
lower.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a better environment.
I got a corporate gig tomorrow, and it's going to go great.
John
In case you're
Caparulo is right around the corner at Hilarities all weekend long. You can go to pickwickandfrolic.com to get the details on when and how you can see him and all that. And find him online. Was it just johncaparulo.com? Is that the website?
That's it, yeah.
There it
that's
is. Well, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me. again.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
We'll take a break and we'll return. If you want to text or something, 35192 to do that. You can listen anywhere, of course, on the iHeartRadio app.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS.
iHeartRadio Fiesta Latina is brought to you by the Juvederm Collection. Visit Juvederm.com for product information.
Stop waiting and start driving at the Ken Ganley Auto Group, #1 in Ohio, with thousands of vehicles in stock.